whatever they try to defend themselves with will also be damaged in some way.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Let's Dream Podcast. This will be episode 41, and this is your host Lee.
And Casey Lucid. What's up, everyone?
Alright, and we're back to bring you another episode of Dream Interpretations. Since we had such a nice time last time, we found it really fun, and it was just fun to try to interpret and kind of guess what people's dreams were about.
I really like doing it, not because we're not professional, we're not therapists or anything. None of this is medical advice. This is just our own interpretations. But it's really nice to hear other people's opinions about anything. Two heads are better than one. So it might help you. Just the ideas that we give might help you come to a conclusion about your own dreams that you may not have come to before.
So we just like to share our thoughts about these dreams in more depth with you all. And it's also just really fun. Yeah, and as Casey just said, keep in mind that these aren't absolute final interpretations or anything, but if it guides you and it helps you in any way, just let us know, and we'd also like to hear what you might think about the dream as well.
Yes, sir. So let's get into it. Let's see here. The first dream that we have is from user Momento92 Mori. Being stung multiple times in a dream. Hey all, hope all is well. Just a quick question regarding being stung multiple times in a dream. So long story short, there was a wasp hovering around my legs and in a dream that I had a couple of days ago. I tried to get away from the wasp, but it became aggressive and stung me in the neck and both hands multiple times. The thing that stood out to me though is that it was only my left hand that swelled up. The swelling also contained yellow fluid. I rushed myself to the doctor, scared that I was going to have a life-threatening reaction, but he reassured me that everything was okay and told me to calm down and get on with my day. What do you think this could mean? I can't find much online about it. Okay. Well,
if there's a wasp hanging around, wouldn't you try to GTFO, get the hell out of there, and
Well, I don't know. So
was he being chased by the wasp? This person being chased?
He was just sitting there and was hovering around his legs or her legs. I assume everyone that sends stuff in is a guy. Sorry, that's probably kind of sexist of me. Yeah, wasp hovering around my legs in a dream. Tried to get away from the wasp, but it became aggressive and stung me in the neck and both hands multiple times. But only the left hand swelled up. So
that is interesting.
They didn't add it in here. I'm curious if they're left-handed. So it means, I don't know. This is how I see it. They're doing something, or they're either doing something or they're somewhere where there's a potential threat that's going to impact them in a certain way. They said specifically their neck and hands. Now the neck is interesting because the neck is a very vulnerable area. If you see people when they're worried or concerned, oftentimes they'll grab their neck because it shows vulnerability and submissiveness. So I don't know, being stung in the neck, maybe they feel like they are exposed in some way and defenseless. Their hands are being stung, so maybe they feel like they don't have the ability to defend themselves because your hands is what you
or there's an inability of control or a sense of control,
right? Or maybe let's say, how about this may be a little bit of a stretch, but follow me on this.
Okay.
Maybe they're worried that a sensitive or a vulnerable part of themselves is going to be attacked or damaged in some way, and if they try to defend themselves, whatever they try to defend themselves with will also be damaged in some way.
Oh, and this goes more so if they are left-handed because, your primary hand is the one you do everything with.
Right.
And so if that gets damaged, then it's all everything else falls apart.
Yeah, actually, just to kind of relate to their dream, I used to train karate pretty vigorously, as you know, but I draw all the time, and to me, visual arts are more important than martial arts just because I love visual arts. So I used to have recurring dreams of my hands breaking while fighting in karate tournaments. Oh. And I noticed that I'm always guarding my hands, or specifically my left hand, because I'm left-handed. I'm very careful about guarding it. So I don't know. That's just something to consider.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I can agree with everything you said. I would say if there's I would mention if there's a fear of bugs, but we all know that wasps are just hellish beings.
Yeah.
Just attack for no reason.
Annoying.
Little aggressive bullets that would just attack anything on sight But, I don't think that's the case here. It's just, like you said, something seems to be annoying them. maybe they don't even know and this is kind of like their dream saying, hey, maybe you should pay attention to this particular thing.
Yeah, good point.
And it's like, hey, if your hand swelled up and then you go to a doctor, and the doctor's like, it's nothing, it's fine. It's like almost like instead of preventing a fire, you're putting out the fire while it happens, you know? Like, so like this is like preventative care or measure, right?
I like that too. Yeah.
That could be it.
What is it? What's the saying? An ounce of prevention is better than a ton of cure.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for...
And I think it's also just really funny. The doctor's like, nah, go away. I'm busy. I'm a doctor. That sounds very... Have you had that experience?
Yes, I have, actually. It's really annoying when a doctor doesn't take you seriously. I've actually... recently, I had a respiratory infection that almost developed into a pneumonia because the doctor didn't think of it anything seriously. So that's a whole nother story.
Time in high school, I told my parents, like, hey, can I go like talk to a doctor or something? I'm just like feeling like bad or something, right? And this is before I knew much about mental health. And like, I literally went to the doctor's office, and, like, they gave me a note, or they told me to go here since they made an appointment and everything. I'm like, all right, I went. I talked to the doctor, and then I told him like what I was feeling, like low energy and like down, and and this is like an older white doctor, and he's like, are you bored? I'm like, what the hell, man? And it's been like 5 minutes. And I'm like, well, I don't want to talk to you anymore. And he's like, all right, let's try to get you some blood tests. And I went out and I had to pay $80. And I was like, wow.
Well, yeah. Wow. The thing is, it's like so hard to find a good healthcare practitioner, somebody that actually listens and pays attention. Actually, I would say, honestly, I can comfortably say in today's day and age, it's really difficult to find someone that actually pays attention in anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Sorry, that was a bit of a tangent, but
no, it's all good.
Yeah. Okay. Next, this is quite a long one. The next dream is from user Jaden Cope. All right, this user comments that it's a very detailed recurring dream for the last 5+ years. I've been in the same dream for 5+ years. It's an extremely detailed version of my hometown and my neighboring cities. I dream of this world almost every day. I can remember about 50+ locations and towns spanning all the way to Sydney and Melbourne. So far, I've been able to catch trains and trams, order food, and live my life like I was wandering around in real life. I can attend full school days and go to classes with my real-life teachers. I've been in my own city and caught a plane all the way to Sydney within one full dream. I can go on for days and vividly tell you about my experience exploring all of this. However, I didn't just appear in a huge dream on my first experience. My theory is that I've been building it over a long time. In my first dream, I could only explore my neighborhood and my old primary school. Then, over 5 years, I've built everything else gradually, presumably through my subconscious. Recently, I've revisited the first locations that I've come across, and it seems as if it has been untouched. 5 years later, and my brain has still kept a spot for everything in my dream. I later went on to exit the school, only to find that the surrounding areas were a one-to-one copy of real life. Previously, anything outside of school was a blur. I then walked down to my mom's work. She happens to be down from the street from my old school. To my surprise, everything was a direct copy, only a few things out of place. I then proceeded to order food from the store, directly opposite of her work. Then I go about my imaginary day. It seems as though my subconscious had developed my own version of Earth, from my point of view at least. Through most of this dream, I've maintained a level of lucidity that gave me control. However, I wasn't fully lucid, if that makes sense. I've gone completely lucid in dream when I'm in extremely familiar places. Not much happens when I go lucid. I usually just dick around and wake up. I've only gone lucid in a foreign place once. It was the most awakening and scary experience ever. When I did go lucid, it seemed as though my subconscious was trying to tell me something presumably about my future. Before I was lucid, I was exploring an abandoned place. Something was eerily familiar. The building happened to be my dad's work. I realized this. I got shocked into a lucid state. I exited the building and hopped onto a motorbike. I then sped away. However, I wasn't steering. I'm pretty sure my subconscious was. I later crashed and presumably died as I woke up instantly. So basically, this user has experienced pretty much real life in their dreaming life because they've kind of created like this whole city, the surrounding cities, neighborhoods, everything for the past 5 years. And they're able to like kind of sort of go lucid in certain parts. But when they go do, it's unfamiliar and it gets scary, especially when it's unfamiliar.
So, yeah, there's a lot, there's so much to unpack in that. So, and there's a lot of theories to go along with it, but there's this Discord, actually, It's called Dream Cafe. And there was another one specifically for lucid dreaming, but I left that one because the conversations got too dull. But I had met a bunch of people there where it was like they literally had continuously running imaginary worlds in the background of their brain all the time. So like there were people that had like these perfectly like elaborate landscapes and cities, and whenever they dreamt, they would jump in as if they were a character, and whenever they awoke, in the background, everything would still go on as if it was real. And then whenever they dreamt again and go back to that lucid dream, the like things like time would pass, like seasons would pass, like events would happen, and then people would remember them and talk to them. So I think this what this person posted is like an extremely good example of just how powerful a person's imagination can be. So I don't know if I'm not sure exactly what interpretation they're asking for.
I think it's more like, why are they having the same thing every night for the past 5 years? It's like, I'm guessing like, why do they keep visiting the same places, and why is it so, I guess, detailed? And
yeah, I mean, I think it's like some people are just prone to that. Some people have insanely vivid dreams.
Not only that, but there's that artist who, like, I'm sure you've heard, there's, many artists have like this very almost photographic memory where they see a landscape once and they can just draw it out. Like that one guy who went on that New York City helicopter, and like in one go he like was able to draw like the whole of New York City, all the buildings and places very accurately. Like, are you talking about Kim Jong-gi? I don't know the name, but probably.
He's one of those artists too, like where he'll draw like things perfectly from memory. But yeah, some people have that. But what I also wanted to say is like a perfect example is this was like maybe a week ago now, a couple of days ago. I had a lucid dream and it was so powerful. I thought I was sleeping. I mean, I thought I was awake in my house, but then I woke up and I opened the back door to my house and it was like a completely different neighborhood, and I realized I'm dreaming, but like the reality of it, I shit you not, gave me goosebumps. Like I'm getting goosebumps right now just thinking about it. Like it was so real. And I actually stopped and I looked at my back door and I'm like, I know I'm dreaming, but this feels like the texture of it, like the graphics for all intents and purposes were like, they weren't like 4K, they were like 4000K. Like it was like
4000K, okay.
Like it was so realistic. And I knew I was dreaming because I immediately just started flying, because like that's one of the first things that I do when I'm dreaming is I start floating just to make sure that I'm actually dreaming and there's no gravity. But it's so weird because it feels so damn real, man. Like I don't know how to explain it. It's such a mind trip. I think that's what this person is experiencing.
Yeah. For them, they said that they go lucid when they are in like an extremely familiar place, right?
Yeah.
So I guess like you said, that's a similar experience to yours. And I guess that I would like to see if they have like a very like, if their resolution of the dream was like higher too, and that's what made them go lucid, because it's so real.
And I don't really have any interpretation for this one. I honestly don't know why that happens. Some people just seem to naturally be, I guess, have the composition for it. But I really think the person should read Stephen LaBarge's Exploring the World of Lucid Dreaming, because it might help them gain like a control. Because like, for example, when they're in that world, if they're lucid, they can go up to a person and it's technically their subconscious. They can ask it questions, and like, it's always interesting to hear the responses. That's one thing that they can do. Yeah. So, but there's a lot of things. There's too much to get into right now.
So this is a pretty packed dream, but I'm going to take a quick stab at it.
Okay.
Obviously, since they said that they've been trying to build, and I think that's normal if it's 5 from like a reoccurring dream, like from 5+ years, right? It's like, as you get older, you're obviously going to go to more places in your neighborhood, right? Or, the different towns, different whatever.
Yeah, and,
right?
and your overall understanding of the world solidifies more.
Yeah, so, I feel like this is probably why their dream is expanding in such a way as well.
Agreed.
And not only that, but it sounds really fun, honestly. They've gone, like, they've experienced really cool stuff, like a whole full school days. And as far as them going lucid into foreign places, I think that's natural, because if you're going to be in a strange place, you're always going to have like certain anxieties, or there's always a sense of scariness, because you just don't know what like going to like a week for a vacation in like, Asia is going to be like, right? Actually,
that's actually a good point too. Like, for example, that's another thing that LaBarge talks about. If you go to a new place and sleep, that can actually increase the chances of lucid dreaming. Part of the reason why is because when you're in a new place, you're on high alert. So you pay attention a lot more to the details and everything that's going on around you. And that can carry over into the dream world
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the last part of the user's kind of comments had this idea. And, I would like to suggest what Casey said. If in your dreams, start striking up conversations with familiar people and see what they have to say.
Yeah.
Like ask them where you are. That sounds like a good question, right?
Yeah. And if you're wanting to just have fun with the dream, tell the person you see in the dream that they're a dream character. And it's just what their response is almost always interesting and entertaining in some way. But anyway.
Would you know anything on reoccurring dreams though? Like why would a dream reoccur?
I mean, like if you wanted to, like if it's
typically, right?
If it's intentional, then it's like, well, that's kind of like self-explanatory. Like if you're intentionally lucid dreaming at the same place, that's self-explanatory. But if it's something that's recurring, like a recurring nightmare, or, I mean, it could be just like, you could have an emotional attachment to like, if you had PTSD, like a lot of soldiers have recurring dreams of like very traumatic experiences. That's why, because they're like highly emotionally and psychologically attached to those events. Theirs don't sound scary.
Recurring dreams usually have like a very strong emotional connection, typically.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you just said, like this dream doesn't sound like a traumatic emotion.
But it could be a pleasant one though. Like if you have,
it sounds.
You like if something you love, you just dream about it often. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, that was really great though. Thank you. That's definitely a good conversation, a long conversation. Maybe we'll have a specific episode on that. Let's see. So this next one is user Dorky Dory. I like that. Oh, it's a nightmare. Okay. So I was performing open heart surgery on a patient in the middle of a kitchen by myself. Oh, I'm sorry. In the middle of my kitchen by myself. The heart was in one of those Ziploc bags, and I took it out and plopped it onto the kitchen counter. All of the arteries were still attached to the person somehow. I started skinning it like a chicken, and it stopped beating, and I screamed for help. After minutes of screaming for help, a more experienced surgeon comes and seems very annoyed with me. She tells me that it's okay and it's normal for a heart to stop beating in the middle of surgery, and the patient is still breathing. She saw that I was skinning the heart with a kitchen knife, and she told me not to do that anymore. Then I woke up. I am not a surgeon.
I like the last part. I'm not a surgeon. Yeah. So this is pretty interesting, right? So I imagine this being a nightmare because the visuals are so like gory and it's scary, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a human life, that's...
Yeah.
So it's like, she's not a surgeon, but so she was trying to perform something that's extremely complicated, and somebody's life was at stake, obviously. But she was doing it in a very
haphazard and careless way.
Yeah. But she was still trying. What I get from this dream is that this person was trying to do something complicated that she knew she probably wasn't equipped for, but still gave it a shot, which is admirable. Maybe that's how she feels about something in real life. That's what I get from it. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that.
And it could be that it's just like...
So she started screaming for minutes after the heart beats, or after the heart stopped beating. And then she gets, another surgeon comes in, and the surgeon tells the dreamer that, hey, this is normal. What are you crying about? Stop it. Yeah. You're using a kitchen knife? Don't do that. So, like you said, the dreamer is doing everything wrong, and yet it's just like a horrific event where it's where they're skinning a person too. Wait.
Yeah, they're skinning the heart like a chicken.
They're skinning the heart, and they're presumably putting the heart into the person and keeping them alive, and the person is somehow still breathing. And yeah, it sounds very complex, and at the same time, it seems like maybe the environment is also. You know when you're sick, I don't know. Well, this is how physically sick with something, and you go tell your mom, like on a school day, you tell your mom, hey mom, I don't feel good, I have a fever or something. Your mom's like, no, you're fine, you go to school. And you're like just suffering for the rest of the day.
Yes.
I kind of get that feeling.
Well, I think, so the only thing that I can relate to this is, okay, so I used to be an EMT, and then if you roll up to the scene of an accident or something and like there's a lot of blood, a little bit of blood looks like a lot because people are not used to seeing blood. So a little bit can like really freak people out. So it's very interesting because I remember when I first started, I would it kind of shocked me how much blood there is, like, side note, I hate cars, but basically like you roll up to the scene of an accident, especially if it's like a really bad one. And then like people are freaking out, and then like your adrenaline is pumping like crazy, but you see like a paramedic that's really experienced, and they go in there and they're like, do this, do that. Like they're very calm. They're like the calm, and like there's a storm going on and they're just like being calm. Like the more shit that happens, they just get calmer. And so to me, relating that to the dream, it seems like the dream is about competence. Like, because a paramedic is very experienced. An EMT, like somebody that's like fresh off, like from the academy, like myself, like just starts in doing everything, like kind of like freaking out. And the paramedic is like, calm down, don't do that, do that. And that was like very common. Actually, now that I think about it, like it was very common to see like the more experienced people just like handle and do like really like complicated life-saving, like somebody's life is on the line, but they can't freak out, and they know that they can't freak out because if they do, then everything goes to shit. So it's like they just do everything like their training, and then that's it. And then so this person, maybe this person is like in the beginning steps of a journey where something complicated needs to be accomplished, and they're just not sure of themselves. But it sounds like they might have team members that might come in, or superiors that might come in and help them or tell them not to do things. That's kind of how I see it.
Yeah. Maybe they foresee themselves doing everything wrong. And like,
yeah,
people around
even
them
if
are
they're
so
not.
much. Yeah. Even if they're not. This
Yeah.
is what the dream, is telling. Well, what we can see, at least, is like they're doing everything wrong. And they're like, I guess team members are very much more competent and much more experienced. And like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. That makes a lot of sense.
And if that's the case, then the only thing that I would recommend is just like, don't let it get to you. Because like, I know that feeling like when you're in the beginning of doing something and you're so like worried about like, your competence and doing things right. And then like you'll mess up like 100 times. And it's like, just don't let it get to you. Because otherwise you'll stop doing it. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. All right. So we'll go into the last dream by user Frugalicious Eclectic. Awesome username, by the way. In their dream, they say, I rarely dream, or if I do, I seldom remember what happened. Last night was a bit different. I dreamt I lived in a country that lost to a wartime invasion and was separated from my son, who, though cared for, was sent to school where I could not see him for 5 years. The years went by in a snap, and before I knew it, it was at this facility where many children were being kept and was anxiously watching for my son, who would now be 8. My anxiety heightened as my eyes combed through what seems to be a sea of faces, desperately hoping to see him but also recognize him, having not seen him for so long. I worried I may glance over him, not realizing it. Then, in a moment, a head turns, and I see a vision of what he may look like in the future, though the image in my memory is pretty distorted. But regardless, I know it's him. And in a fleeting moment, he smiles and yells, Daddy! And I burst into tears as I hug him tight, and I'm literally weeping over the fact that he still remembers me. I tell him this as I struggle to speak through the tears. This was in my memory of one of the most vivid and emotional dreams I've ever had. I jolted awake, sobbing, and continued to cry for some time as it seemed far too real. I'm not sure if this is a fluke or an underlying issue that my psyche is trying to show me. I appreciate any ideas. It made me think of anyone who has lost a child and what a gut-wrenching and awful thing it must be.
Ooh. What do you think?
I think this is a really awesome dream. It's like super emotionally charged. And the thing is, we don't even know if the dreamer has a child or not either. But there's definitely this feeling of longing or emotional bond or a need to connect.
Yeah. Do you think maybe it's like you feel like they're letting time slip by and they're missing on that opportunity to bond? You think that's what that is?
I think that's what you may think that's what that is.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, but that's a very good point. Maybe this person's getting older and they're just not having the time with maybe friendships or just relationships in general.
Yeah. To
see people grow and people, developing this kind of bond with each other.
Yeah, I think you're right on the money. I mean, we don't know, obviously. We don't know if this person has a kid, like you said, but that's what it seems like to me.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely what the dream seems like, but I don't know if that's what their psyche is saying, telling them, if it's even saying anything, right?
Yeah, like it could be that they're an artist and they had to leave their art behind for 3 years and then come back to it. Like that could be their baby, their child. I could see that. It doesn't have to be an actual person. And
I do love that there's like kind of this universe where it's like kind of a war-torn era.
Yeah.
And then there's, that also kind of immensifies the feeling of distance between like the father and child. And that you just feel the wanting that closure even more, It's like, dang.
Yeah, I mean, like that.
It's really strong.
Yeah, like I'm glad that you pointed it out. That could also be just like there's something that's happening, like a wartime invasion something that's in real life that's just chaotic or just takes a lot of attention and time and effort that just takes you away from what or who you love for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
I could see that.
So it could be like something out of their control that's, if they had a choice, they would obviously choose to be with people they cared about. But they have, they have to face other things in order to get to that point.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think that's a good interpretation.
But it's still a very awesome dream. Yeah.
Well, okay. Yeah, that's pretty much all the dreams that we had for this episode. If anybody wants to post anything on on Reddit subreddit, Let's Dream Podcast, our Let's Dream Podcast, we'll do dream interpretations from there. Also, dream art requests or just stories you want to share, and let us know what you guys think.
And remember, this is only for entertainment purposes only. We never know if this is true, but we do love talking about it because this was a really awesome dream, and we hope you all think the same. And as always, if you want to see art renditions of people's dreams and dream creatures, check out Casey's art on his Insta, Let's Dream Podcast on Instagram and Twitter as well.
And the YouTube for animations.
And we hope you keep doing up with your dream journals. And that's all we have for you today. And we'll see you in the next one.
Bye, everyone.